Alright, what's good YouTube? Gentlemen, Thomas here, coach of the Copenhagen Galates, and this is gonna be the UPA playoffs team builder. Yes, we made it to playoffs. We got in on the last place of playoffs, which means we finished sixth, I believe. And we are going up against, technically, we're going up against the second seed because first seed gets a straight promotion to the Premier League. In UPA, we played in the D2 league. So we're going up against the second seed, and the second seed is actually the Boston Bisharks. Now, what's funny about this team is this is our week one opponent, but it's a different person because the coach or that we originally played against had to unfortunately drop out because of a lot of in real life stuff that I don't want to talk too much about. So yeah, we're going up against Shark, which is the coach of the Boston Bisharks, and as you can see, he kind of have a lot of the similarities that our week one opponents had on the team because it is, of course, the same team. But he did make some transactions when he took over the team. Now, the team consists of Mega Charizard X, Landorus Therian, Primarina, Bronzong, Weezing, Galar, Sneasel, Kangaskhan, Raikou, Lurantis, Kadabra, and Mienshao. And I believe the new mons consist of Weezing, Galar, Kadabra, Mienshao, and Sneasel, I think, were the mons. I think those are the mons, because I remember Charizard, Landor, Prim, Bronzong, Raikou and Lurantis were there. I'm uncertain about Kangaskhan and uncertain about Sneasel, but I know the other three are definitely new. Now, some good stuff to know about the Sharks team is he has two Silverock setters in Landers Therian and Bronzong. He has one Toxic Spike setter in Weezing Galar. He has 4 defog users in Mega Charizard X, Lander, Therian, Weezing, Galar, and Lurantis. And he has technically two aromatherapy users in Weezing, Galar, and Lurantis. Now, in regards to what I think Shark might bring, I haven't really watched many of his games. I do know that he has, I think it's Landorus is a part of the top kill leaders in the league, so he tends to bring a offensive Landorus. Now, I think kind of like when we played this team in week one, the Landorus is gonna come as a more defensive one to kind of deal with Terragion. But overall, I think he's gonna bring Mega Charizard X, Landorus, Primarina, Bronzong, and then, like last time, I didn't prepare too much for Raikou, and it came and it absolutely destroyed the team. So I definitely will be kind of preparing for Raikou a bit more. Not necessarily more, but I'm just going to be more conscious of what Raikou can really do. Even though I actually did already know what Raikou does, I just for some reason didn't really take into consideration just how devastating to my team it is. And I might very well lose to it again with what I brought, but I definitely brought some different stuff, a lot of the same mons, but some different stuff compared to what I did last. I definitely think the Sneasel could come just for Mew, just so he has some dark coverage. Also think the Mienshao is kind of has a high probability just because Mienshao is always a good mon, is a good pivot. It can hit hard, it can regenerate, it can be reckless. So I definitely think his team has a lot of variations he can come with. I don't think Kadabra is coming, and I don't think Lurantis is coming. Though if Lurantis comes, it's most likely going to be some sort of bulky mon to go against one of ours with some defog and potentially some aromatherapy or something. Now, the preparation this week, I don't know. I was a bit more, how can I say, relaxed about it, just because I made it to playoffs, and that's kind of my goal always to make it to playoffs. After that, how far I can get in playoffs, that's kind of down to faith or down to just luck and something. Like a lot of stuff can go right or wrong in playoffs. So I actually decided to bring this Mew set this week. Now, Mew is going to be holding leftovers, which means at the end of every turn, holder restores 116 of its max HP. That's kind of normal for Mew. I have run leftovers quite a lot on Mew. Now, if you look at the EV spread, the Modest Nature with 184 HP, 0 defense, 252 special attack, 0 special defense, and 72 in speed. That is made so Mew is gonna be kind of the in-game sweeper or the win condition this week. Because if you look at the moveset Mew has, Psychic, Flamethrower, Agility, and Nasty Plot. And yes, I'm bringing a very like niche moveset. Like I can't bring it in on just anything. I have to make sure I can set up. I have to make sure I can do damage. Because if I have to kind of do a stall war with Mew against something else, I do kind of lose in most situations. But overall, I actually do think this is the better music. This is a music that he won't expect, and it can actually win. Because if I can get both double dances up in agility and nasty blow, I have a good chance of sweeping basically his entire team. Of course, like Primarina, a bulky Primarina can kind of stop it because I'm Psychic and not Psyshock. And the reason for that is because of the Weezing Gala. I can 100% kill with Psychic, where Psyshock it can actually survive and potentially haste me, and then Mew would not have would have done basically nothing. And overall, Psychic does more to Charizard, Landorus. It does more overall to a lot of the team. Flamethrower is because that's kind of the secondary move I needed. It hits the Bronzong, it hits the Sneasel, because I can't touch Bronzong or Sneasel with Psychic. And Kadabra is so frail that it also kills Kadabra. So those two moves together actually can hit my opponent's entire team. And as I mentioned, after an agility, Mew should outspeed anything, even a Scarf Landorus. I think a Scarf Sneasel or Scarf Raikou could outspeed it, I believe, but I highly doubt that's something he would bring. If anything, he would bring a Focus Sash Sneasel maybe, so I definitely have to watch out for that. But that's Mew this week. It's gonna be my win con. I hope I can pull this off. If I can pull it off, that's definitely gonna be major hype. Plus, Mew doesn't have to set off both double dances to win. If he doesn't bring Sneasel or Raikou, I can kind of just do the nasty plot and hope I can either outspeed the Charizard, which is kind of unlikely, or in general just outspeed most of his team. Or if I have chipped down enough on his team, I can just go for the agility, and then Psychic and Flamethrower in of itself would do enough. Next up, we have, you kind of guessed it probably, Terragion, aka Diesel. Now, Terragion this week is also going to be a very, very weird, interesting set. It's a focus satch, which means the holder's HP, if the holder's HP is full, it will survive an attack that will KO it with 1 HP, single use. Of course, I have to justify the ability because that's the only thing I can run on Terragion. Jolly Nature with 24 HP, 252 attack, 0 defense, 0 special defense, and 232 in speed. This allows me to outspeed, I believe it's the Mienshao and below. I did speed creep for the Mienshao, even though I think Mienshao has the highest probability of being Scarf, which I do think. I actually do think Mew does outspeed. I will quickly check after this, but I do believe Mew outspeeds as for +2 a Scarf Mienshao. Now, if you look at the moveset on Terragion, Stone Edge, Close Combat, Toxic, and Stealth Rocks. Yes, Terragion is going to be my lead this week, because if he leads Landorus, I should outspeed it, unless it's Scarf. I can either go for Toxic to try and whittle it down, and maybe it goes for Rocks, maybe it goes for EQ, maybe it U-turns, whatever it does. Or I can go for my own Rocks. If he doesn't bring Weezing, well, okay, if he doesn't bring Weezing, I guess he's gonna have Defog on his Landers, and then I probably won't go for what's it called, Stealth Rock. I would probably go for the Toxic. So if he leads Lando and I lead Dragon, and he has Weezing in the back or Lorantis in the back, I'm 100% clicking Toxic, I think. Now, if he doesn't bring in either of those, he's most likely. No. Sorry, reverse. If he brings Lorantis or Weezing in the back, I think they have defog, so I will click Stealth Rocks because he needs to bring them in before he can get rid of the Stealth Rocks. Where if he doesn't bring them, defog is going to be on the Landorus most likely, and then I won't click Stealth Rock. I want to click Toxic instead. And I have the focus test, so I can survive any one hit he wants to go for. If he wants to kill me, if he wants to set up himself, he wants to pivot out. So that's Dragon this week. It's not really meant to be a big killer or sweeper. It's meant to get rocks up, meant to potentially toxic something, and then deal some damage if I can have it stay alive. Next up, we have Neuron. I decided to go. This is the first like big alteration to the team compared to my week one. Week one, I brought Chandelure over Neuron to go against my opponent's team. This time around, I brought Neuron with choice specs because I really love choice specs Neuron. It's such a good set. It makes it so the special attack on Neuron is 1.5, but I can only select the first move it executes. I opted for Frisk rather than Infiltrator just because my opponents generally hasn't run Substitute throughout this entire league because I have two Infiltrator mons. I think they don't see the worth in having Substitute, which it's kind of the reason why I wanted Infiltrator mons to begin with, so I can make sure my opponents don't have a Substitute. But on Frisk, I can scout out a couple of items, figure out what they are. So that's why I went for it. It's a Intimidator with 68 HP, 0 defense, 252 special attack, 0 special defense, and 192 in speed. This lets me outspeed anything on his team, and that's the main important part in kind of trying to counter the Raikou especially. Now I know a Coal Mine Raikou, of course, doesn't take too much from U-turn or from Boomburst Neuron, but in general, just having something that can outspeed Raikou naturally or Sneasel, but Sneasel is most likely going to carry Ice Shot, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I definitely think the Neuron is going to be important this week. The moveset consists of U-Turn, Hurricane, Boomburst, and Shadow Ball. And yes, I didn't go for Drago Media because I don't want to lock myself into Drago Media and giving him a free switch into especially the Primarina, because Primarina is probably the one mon on his team I have the hardest to count, not the hard, the most difficult in to counter, because a choice specs Moonblast goes through the entirety of my team except one mon. There's one mon that can take the choice specs Moonblast. The unfortunate part just is it dies to any water type attack, and that's of course Mega Steelix. So therefore, I think Primarina is a very dangerous mon for me to allow him to go into. So I don't want to let myself get stuck in Drago Meteor and then he just gets the free swap in. I would rather than have like Boom Burst, Shadow Ball, and be able to do some chip if I feel the need to. Now Hurricane is of course the main stab and it's gonna do the most damage. I opted for Shadow Ball over Flamethrower because of the same concept of Drago Meteor. I don't want to allow the Primarina, but also the Charizard I don't want to allow in with Flamethrower. So I would rather have Shadow Ball to hit the Bronzong, and then if Sneasel comes in, Sneasel comes in. I have to deal with it at that point. But yeah, that's Neuron this time around. I'm kind of hoping I keep Rocks off my field, even though it's going to be difficult because his Lando or Bronzong is definitely going to have it. So I don't want to take too much chip on Neuron, but if I have to, I have to. Now, in case of emergency, Neuron can actually also swap into Charizard if he doesn't go for a Dragon type move. If he goes for Flare Blitz, if he goes for Earthquake, Thunder Punch, whatever he wants to go for, Neuron can actually take a hit rather well against Charizard. So he has to have Dragon Claw on it, I think. Now, here comes a kind of standard but still risky set with Grimsny, also known as Azeroth. It's the Light Clay set where the holder's use of Aurora Well, Light Screen, or Reflect lasts 8 turns instead of 5. It's the Prankster variant because I highly doubt he would bring in his Sneasel against Grimsny. So I definitely think I can go for a Prankster almost as much as I want. It's an Impet's nature with 248 HP, 252 0 attack, 252 defense, 0 special defense, and 8 in speed. The 8 in speed is just in case he's a 0 speed Primarina. I can outspeed, or Weezing for that matter. I can outspeed those. I can, if you look at my moveset, I can Spirit Break them, drop their special attack, and potentially swap into something that can actually deal with them. Grimsnarl's moveset in Spirit Break, Reflect, Light Screen, and Thunder Wave, it's purely there to try and disrupt my opponent. Spirit Break is just there because if I can lower Primarina, if I can lower Weezing, if I can lower Raikou especially, their special attack, it's perfect. It's good for Sneasel. It hits Charizard neutral. It hits most of its team except Bronzong for good damage, and Weezing for good damage. But I can put up a Reflect. I can put up a Light Screen. and I can T-wave a lot of his team. Now, as you can see, it's a physically defensive Grimsny, and that's basically because this is actually my swap into his Charizard. I know it sounds weird. It sounds very, very, very weird to have Grimsny as my Charizard swap in, but if he goes for a Dragon type move, of course I'm immune. If he goes to Earthquake, he actually does less than half. He has to go for Flare Blitz, and Flare Blitz chips him first of all, and it chips him quite a lot because it does like 75% to Grimmsnarl. But I can then Prankster Reflect, and I actually get a roughly around a 50% chance, 75% chance to survive the next Flare Blitz after the Reflect. And if I do, I can try and T-wave it, or I can just try and put up a light screen and then have my screen for 8 turns. So that's the concept of Grimmsnarl. It's not meant to be a longevity mon this time around. It's just meant to get up screens and potentially T-wave something and then die to let in potentially Mew second setup. Next up, we have Vaporeon, also known as All Blue. Vaporeon is going to be the most standard set this week so far, maybe except for Neuron. Its leftovers at the end of every turn, Holder restores 116 of its max HP. Water Absorb, just if Primarina is choice specs and it locks itself into a water type move, I can go into Vaporeon. In general, as long as Primarina is not choice specs, Vaporeon can actually kind of deal with it rather well. Now, I opted for the bold nature because while I fear Primarina, he does have more physical offensive presence on his team than special. But if you look at the spread, it's 248 HP, 168 in defense, 0 special attack, 92 in special defense, and 0 in speed. And that basically makes it so I can take any one hit from his entire team if I need to. And because if you look at the moves, I have Scald, Roar, Wish, and Protect. I can either Wish Protect against whatever he wants to, whatever he has in, or I can roar it out. Hope he comes into, let's say, the Landorus. That would be huge. Wish Protect or Protect Wish Protect, depending on how much HP I have after leftovers, and try and kind of like stall his team a little bit, stop his momentum while I try to think of a way out. Now, the most important thing about Roar is it stops Dragon Dance Charizard. It stops kind of Sword Stance Landorus. Like if he Sword Stance Landorus and I have some chip on Vaporeon, Earthquake is gonna hurt a lot. But most important, I can actually take a hit from Raikou and roar it out if that's what I need to do, if I have to do that. So that's the main thing about Raw for Vaporeon over like Toxic or Ice Beam or Flip Turn or whatever I want to put on it is just to make sure that he can't necessarily set up and just sweep my entire team. Lastly, we have Delmise, aka Going Merry. It's heavy duty boots. When switching in, the holder is unaffected by hazards on its side of the field. It's a sassy nature with 248 HP, 0 attack, 48 defense, 0 special attack, 212 in special defense with the negative speed nature. It's Poltergeist, Rapid Spin, Power Whip, and Synthesis. That's pretty much my counter to Raikou. Now, I know Raikou can run Shadow Ball and it's gonna hurt, but he can't really necessarily set up on Delmise or afford to take the hit from Delmise, and Delmise can take a +2 if he's Calm Mind. So that's the main reason for Delmise. It's to kind of counter Raikou. Now I know that what you're thinking. Well, why didn't you bring Mega Steelix? Well, that's because I feel like Mega Steelix kind of isn't the greatest. Like it, even though Charizard is weak to ground type moves, it still kind of Steelix still kind of loses because of the Fire Stab of Charizard. It loses to Landorus, it loses to Primarina, it even loses to Bronzong to some extent. Wheezing, it does beat, Sneasel does beat, and Raikou it kind of does beat. But overall, I don't think it has the greatest matchup against my opponent. So I think I opted to go for the Delmise approach, which I also did last. But last I had Delmise as my main Primarina counter, and this time around it can still go against Primarina if Primarina is not choice specs. But I would prefer to just stick to going against Raikou with this Delmise. Also, the sassy nature, I actually do think that's a miss prep, or not miss prep, miss should I say, miss graphic on my part. I forgot to change it. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be careful nature because I don't have minus speed. Because if I don't have minus speed, it should outspeed the Bronzong. So that's a mistake. It should be careful. I'm like 99% sure about that. But other than that, I hope you like the team. I definitely think this playoff match is gonna be super difficult because even though I lost week one, I have no idea on what exactly to change about the team. Like I tried to think a little bit outside the box, especially with Mew. This is probably my first time I'm bringing like the kind of double dance Mew I've the entire season. I have brought setup Mew before. I brought D Dance one week. I think I brought Nasty Plot last week, but I haven't brought like a double dance end game Mew. I mostly brought like a let's just try and hit hard kind of Mew. Uh, Same with Terragion. This is also my first time bringing a actual lead Terragion instead of just I have brought Life Orb maybe 8 out of 10 games or something like that. So it's definitely going to be an interesting team this time around. And as always, make sure to leave a like on the video if you like the video. Leave a comment down below about what you think of the team. Do you think I can win this match? Do you think I'm going to lose? If I'm going to lose, is this going to be a 6-0? Unfortunate. Uh, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. And with that, I'm out. Peace, YouTube.